the music theory lady. Okay, now we're going to talk about the basics of notation 3, and this is the accidentals and how they act on the staff. This is where we get a little bit more technical with these accidentals so you can really understand the ins and outs of how they work. When you place accidentals on the staff, they always have to be on the left side of the note. Never, ever, ever will you see accidentals on the right side of the note or above the note, because if you notice the second bullet point here is the accidental must be on the same line or space as the note that it belongs to. So if I have a note that's on a line, that accidental has to be across or on that line as well. You're never going to see an accidental up above the note anywhere. So make sure you've got those accidentals placed correctly so your musician can read them in time to play them correctly. Accidentals carry through the measure. So if we put notes in a measure, remember a measure is a space between two bar lines, and we have a note that has an accidental on it, it's actually going to carry through the measure for that same pitch. And bar lines cancel previous accidentals. So here's an example of it being in the same measure. You can see there's an F sharp there, and then we have another F here in the measure, and so that F is also going to be F sharp because that accidental is going to carry through to it since those Fs are the same pitch. Same thing with this D sharp. There's another D after that in this measure, and so it's going to carry through. So again, make sure you're clear on when the accidental occurs, it's the notes after that are affected by that accidental. Any note that happened before that won't be affected by that accidental. So it's once it hits, then it's that way for the rest of that measure for that pitch. And then here's how it can be canceled by a bar line. So right here we've got, in bass clef, we've got A, B flat, and then on this side we've got a B and a C. And this B is normal, unaffected B because that bar line has canceled out the flat that happened in the previous measure. One thing I said in the last one, but I'm not sure you caught it, so I made it big and red on this one. Accidentals carry through the measure on the same pitch in the same octave. So if you have, let's say, in this example, we've got an A flat down here in the bass clef, and then we have another A up here on the top of the staff. Because those are different octaves, this is A flat 2 and this is A 3. Because those are in different octaves, they do not carry the accidental over. So if I wanted that A 3 to have a flat on it, I would actually have to put that flat again before it would be counted that way. And then in this measure, again, we've got an A flat up here, but because this A down here doesn't have a flat on it, and because we had a bar line that canceled out the accidental from the previous measure, this is just A. So again, A flat, A flat, and A. So watch out for that. Make sure you're watching out when the bar lines happen that cancel things and when accidentals are actually in different octaves. And by the way, this goes for instruments too. Of course, if a flute has an A flat and a clarinet is supposed to play that same exact pitch next, that clarinet isn't going to know unless it's in their part as well. So it's very much the same philosophy there. So what happens if you have an accidental on a note and you really don't want to have that accidental on a repeated note after that in the same measure? Well, that's when we use a natural. A natural, and here's a symbol right here, cancels a previous accidental and returns the note to its natural, unaltered pitch, and it cancels everything that happened before on that pitch. So here's an example. We've got in this C clef, alto clef, guys, we've got A, B, C sharp, going back to B, and then now we have C natural. So it goes back to just normal C rather than holding on to that sharp in the same measure. So that's kind of a fail-safe if you want to go back to that original note. And that brings us to accidentals and ties. A tie is a curved line that connects two or more of the same pitch, indicating that there is to be no break between them and that they should be played as one note. So for instance, if I have a note, let's say, I know we haven't gotten into this yet, but let's say a quarter note, which is one beat, and I have it tied to another quarter note that's one beat, then I'm going to start the note here and play it all the way through so that it lasts for 2 beats instead of 1 beat, breathe, and 1 beat. So we'll talk more about ties later, but for today, when it comes to accidentals, you need to know that an accidental carries through a tie, but only for the tied note. So here in treble clef, we've got A and B flat, and then that B flat is tied. And because it's tied, this B here is actually also B flat, even though there was a bar line before that we know usually cancels an accidental, this tie overrides that bar line for this note only. This note over here, however, is still just B because it wasn't a part of the tie that brought that accidental over. So the bar line does affect notes that aren't affected by a tie. Okay, now we're going to talk about accidentals and key signatures. A key signature is a set of accidentals placed at the beginning of each line of staff, and these will be discussed in great detail later. But what you need to know about them with accidentals right now is the accidentals that are in a key signature are applied throughout the composition. So for instance, right here I've got a key signature, so it's that grouping of accidentals at the start of a line of staff, and this is F sharp and C sharp and G sharp. So that means every single time I come across those notes in the composition, I, as the composer, don't have to add a sharp every single time. That key signature is going to give instructions to the musician to turn those Fs, Cs, and Gs into sharped notes every single time. So for instance, I've already got these written in here for you. This is E, this is F, and we would read it as F sharp because of the F sharp in the key signature. This is G sharp because of the G sharp in the key signature. If you're wanting to cancel instructions in the key signature or cancel out accidentals that are there, you're going to have to add a natural, and that natural will cancel out and make this note here G natural as opposed to G sharp. However, the bar line will cancel that natural, so it's almost canceling a cancel. But that natural is canceled so that this note on the other side of the bar line is still G sharp, like the key signature instructed. Then when it comes to accidentals, I get these questions all the time, so I just wanted to add this in here as well. When it comes to accidentals, it's not addition and subtraction. So it's not like if I have a sharp in a key signature, you can see this down here, I've got a G sharp in the key signature. If I have a G sharp here on the staff, or I add a sharp to this note, it doesn't make it G double sharp, it's just simply restating the sharp that's in the key signature. For instance, in this case, you can see the G before was made natural or canceled out, so that when we got to this note and we wanted it to be G sharp again, we had to reapply that sharp. But that sharp plus the sharp in the key signature does not make a double sharp, it's just restating what was in the key signature. But it's also not subtraction. So for instance, on this side, I've got E, F sharp, G double sharp, which is crazy, but anyway, G double sharp, and then G natural. This is not canceling just one of those sharps of the double sharp, it's canceling both of those. It's canceling anything that affected that note, no matter whether it was a double or a single accidental. So this goes from G double sharp to just G. And that's it for today, you guys. Thanks for watching, and as always, remember to subscribe. Bye!